They're welcome to believe them. However, they are not part of science. This is part of their religion, and that should be taught in private schools at private expense. I shouldn't have to pay for that to be taught like it's part of science. But right now, that is being taught as if it's part of science.
So what is science then?
The word science means knowledge. That's the single word definition of it. The more expanded definition is knowledge gained by observation, experimentation, and testing. You can look it up in any dictionary. Before, about 10 years ago, when they tried to change it so knowledge is a way of knowing, you know. Every dictionary for the last 200 years has listed science as knowledge and knowledge gained by observation, testing, and experimentation. We have no testing, we have no observation, we have no experiments to show us dogs can produce non-dogs or dogs came from non-dogs. Now, if somebody wants to believe that, they left science and went to religion, which is fine, but do it in a private school. Okay?
Thank you.
Skip, I'm so glad you came tonight.
I am too. I'm glad you're here too, Ken.
Are you really? Are you serious?
My name is Skip Evans. I major in anti-creationism at the University of the National Center for Science Education in Hovind, California. I honestly am glad that you came, Ken. And what I'm actually really happy about is to see so many science majors in the audience, because you need to hear his message. You need to know what this man is talking about. Because when you go out and become university professors, you're going to call us up and say, some kid brought this book in written by a guy named Ken Hovind. What is this stuff? You're getting the lesson here tonight. So I really am. I think you should speak at a lot more universities and a lot less churches.
Okay.
Now, that being said, here's my question. What I have here is a little comic book I'm very familiar with called Big Daddy.
Yes, sir.
Distributed here tonight. I understand that you helped rewrite it.
I did. Jack Chick wrote that originally. He had called me and said, would you update this? It's 20 years old.
Yes. And what I'm looking at here is a diagram, a very misrepresentative one, but let's ignore that for the time being, of human evolution. And under Lucy, which was an Australopithecine, I believe Afarensis, I think so? Afarensis.
Very good.
And there's this thing. I got my shirt, I cheated.
You have to look down and see it.
There's a statement here with a little asterisk that says, for details, watch part 2 of the Creation Seminar series by a video by Dr. Ken Hovind. The caption underneath Lucy says, nearly all experts agree Lucy was just a 3-foot-tall chimpanzee. Could you give us the names of the list of those experts who think Lucy was a chimpanzee? And I mean real experts. I don't mean John Wood Morat, who's, obviously a creationist. I don't mean Henry Morris.
Hold on a minute now.
Who are the experts that think Lucy's a chimpanzee?
Did I just hear you say or imply strongly that if you believe in creation, you're no longer capable of being an expert? Is that what you implied?
Who are the people who actually studied Lucy, the paleontologists, who concluded that she was a chimpanzee?
Okay, let's see. Let me tell you a little bit about Lucy here. Donald Johanson, Australopithecus afarensis, listed as evidence for evolution.
You're avoiding the question. Who are the experts that say Lucy is a chimpanzee?
No, I'm answering your question, okay? I want to give you the history behind Lucy.
I don't want the history. I want you to answer this question. Who are the experts, Ken? Or are you willing to say, okay, maybe we were wrong on this one and we need to go back and correct our little comic book?
Let me finish the question. Okay, I'll answer it. Now, if you want to preach to a crowd, Skip, you got to get your own crowd. See, atheists can't get a crowd like this together, okay?
You've got to be proud of atheists here, I think.
Okay. Donald Johanson was sent to Africa specifically to find evidence for evolution. He found Lucy 2 weeks before his grant money ran out. It's a well-published fact.
You're wrong. You're right there. You're misrepresented. Lucy goes to find evidence for evolution. He went to find evidence for hominids.
The National Geographic labeled Lucy's knee. They labeled it Lucy's knee 5 times. It was not Lucy's knee. It's found 1.5 miles away.
You're wrong again. You're distorting the facts. That's not true. When Donald Johanson answered that question, he misunderstood what the question was. Somebody asked him, where did you find the knee? He found 2 knees. A complete knee was found with Lucy. He also found a second one 1.5 miles away.
Right.
When he answered the question, he thought it was about the second knee, and that's why he said it. This is so documented. It's all over the web. You keep repeating the same stuff over and over again.
You totally missed what I said. I said National Geographic labeled that as Lucy's knee, and it's not Lucy's knee.
Okay, so, no, it wasn't.
Thank you, sir. Now, let me finish answering your question.
What did John Johanson say? Did he find Lucy's knee? Did he find a knee with Lucy?
Yes, he may have, okay? If you find a bunch... If you find...
If
if you find a bunch of bones in a pile in the dirt, you can't prove any of them came from the same animal.
Will you answer the question?
I am. Okay. Let's see.
I don't want Marvin Lubenow.
No. An orangutan foot and a human foot are very different.
Answer the question, Ken.
Okay. Charles Oxnard studied Lucy with a computer multivariate analysis. He measured every bone, the length, the width, the height, the density, the circumference, did a comparison, and he said, the various Australopithecines are indeed more different from both African apes and humans in most features than the latter are from each other. He said it's not a missing link.
And his study has been rejected by all of the paleontologists who are qualified to answer it, have rejected his study.
Oh,
I've got one guy. Who are the others?
One thing at a time.
Nearly all experts. Who are the rest of them?
One thing at a time. Which is why I'm glad to do a debate, but I want one topic at a time. Okay. You said, I'll answer the question. You said, is Charles Oxnard an evolutionist?
He's not a paleontologist.
So, did you imply by your last statement that anybody who doesn't think Lucy was a missing link is not qualified to talk about the subject?
No. All I'm saying is I want you to answer the specific question. Nearly all experts. Who are these experts? You got one guy who's not a paleontologist. He's not a recognized. He's not even recognized in the field. Who are these other experts, Ken? Will you go ahead and correct us?
Is it possible for a person to be an expert in paleontology and not believe Lucy was
I don't want to take up any more time, but I don't want anyone to miss it, that it was a basic, simple question on a claim that he published that he has no answer for.
Okay, I have an answer. Let me point out a much bigger, overarching picture that everybody's missing here. We're going to lunch. Okay. Listen. Lucy consisted of bones found in the dirt. As I said earlier in my presentation this evening, no fossils count as evidence for evolution. You don't know they had any kids. You find a pile of bones in the dirt, it would be impossible for you to prove Lucy was the ancestor of anybody. All you know is you found bones in the dirt. You can't prove it had any kids whatsoever. And if you want to take that to a court of law and say, that's the ancestor of humans today, you're silly, okay? It's not, you can't prove it's the ancestor of anybody. That just shows the desperation. People are so desperate to believe their grandpa was a monkey. Okay, well, you believe that if you want. But that's not common sense. So, Skip, I will take that into consideration. There may be, maybe it should not say most experts, maybe it should say some experts. I'll consider that. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
My name is Andy Greenstein. I'm a second-year NCB grad student here.
Okay.
I think that your disbelief of evolution is really correlated very strongly to your sort of lack of any concrete biochemical or genetic evidence. You completely ignored the area of genetics and genomics.
Wait. One topic at a time, okay?
Okay.
Let's just take this slowly here.
Right.
You want to say, my rejection of evolution. I don't reject evolution. I accept microevolution. I think it's a lousy term. I think variations happen. Sometimes some pretty bizarre variations. Great Danes and Chihuahuas, if you want to call that evolution, I agree, that happens. Now, I reject anything that's not scientific. We don't have any scientific evidence that a dog ever came from a non-dog. So, you need to define what you mean by evolution. I don't reject evolution.
How about your statement that genetic information is never introduced into the gene pool? Could you just make that statement again?
I said there's no new increased genetic complexity. Do you know of any examples where a mutation or evolution has happened that has resulted in an increase in genetic complexity which would create a new kind of animal? Give me your example.
Yes, I do. There's a couple. The first of all is a transposon. It's a genetic element that's mobile between species. They exist in corn, they exist in bacteria, and they often include functions like beta-lactamases. Beta-lactamases are new enzymes that bacteria never had, but are now introduced to break down penicillin. It's a new function. It's introduced by a mobile genetic